Welcome to the Hermitcraft recap. My name is PixelRiffs, our writer is LoyXP. Captions on this video were provided by Liara, and this week the Royal Quest competition heats up, the total chaos continues, some developers visit the server, and we've now reached the part of Decadence where demolition is a service. So let's demolish the rest of this intro and leave a nice clear space for us to look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Jevin, and to answer our question from last week, he does indeed add redstone components to the chest array circle he's lost in the mountains. It's certainly an easier find now. Jevin has decorated the one side where the cliff hasn't been flattened with a clock tower entrance, guess to ensure the materials are always on time. Which they're gonna be if even a fraction of the wither skulls he's acquired are made into haste beacons. Having found a nether fortress embedded into a soul sand valley, Jevin did not rest until most of it was converted into a free-range button ranch, blocking the local spawns and ensuring that just the wither skellies can appear in the facility.
And like the second that I stop the tests and I'm just like over here killing them for fun, 6 skulls drop. It's insane.
It's a show of strength from Jevin, but Vintage Beef sets out to prove how strong Jevin really is through the medium of random number dispensers.
I've got terrible luck, so guaranteed I'm getting the lowest possible values
well,
here.
Somebody
Absolutely.
did get the lowest. There's your boy right there, Etho at the bottom. In fact, it was so
no.
low. It was so low that I made him a third ultra rare card because it was the
poor
worst
Etho.
you could get. Yeah, I know.
Outside of this RND portion, Beef has completed all the cards which will display the Hermit's health values, and he adds 2 more effect cards which allow you to draw more cards and skip your opponent's turn, so we're looking forward to the Uno reverse card showing up later. For the passionate collector, he also shows his stockpile of rare error cards which were saved before some issues with them were fixed, so they're sure to be worth something in 5 to 10 years.
And then, of course, the error... Whoa, that was scary for a second. The green error cards, which right here... Wait, I think this will probably be better. Right here, these were not centered on this guy right here. So if you go and look at the other ones, they are centered.
And in case that investment doesn't pay off, luckily Beef's shop is still making bank, despite it not being in the actual shopping district, which he figures he should do something about soon, but out of tradition rather than necessity. It's a problem Impulse SV is also facing, given that most of his shops were established before the shopping district was actually a thing, but he's on his way to solving that by gradually building a shopping mall all the mall goths will finally approve of, at least design-wise. At least Illuminate is in the right place, so customers can feel confident in where exactly they can demand to speak to the manager.
Don't kill that. Do you have bad omen? Okay. Are you gonna start a raid? Okay.
Oh, I do have bad omen.
Uh-oh.
It's fine. There's no villages here. It's all good.
But before he can corner the market in basically everything, Impulse needs the behind-the-scenes workings of his industrial district to speak to each other. In particular, the bamboo farm needs to say, "Hey, auto smelter, use me as fuel," which isn't inherently a problem, although occasionally you discover that redstone was a mistake.
It was 1 block too low, or maybe 2 blocks too low, so we did have to bring it up a little water elevator, but it is working just fine.
Eventually, after he's pulled all the sugar out of his fuel hoppers, the Rube Goldberg machine is rigged up to smelt all his chorus fruit, and it even filters the flowers out. Just in time for Impulse to be sent on a meandering journey of his own and receive a hot potato from Cubfan, but hey, you didn't hear that from us.
Yeah, you gotta pass it on as quickly as possible.
Okay, all right, I'll pass it on as quickly. And then the next person gets 8 diamonds as well?
Then the next person gets 8 diamonds, and the person after that. And
Oh, wow, dude, that's easy
pretty
money.
great.
Apparently sick for a week, Gemini Tay has nevertheless found a solution to providing time-lapse voiceover. She just got Impulse to do it.
I've also worked on some of the exterior.
Look at her go as she zooms away in this fantastic addition to her amazing Elven-style base.
Luckily, not every bit of third-person footage has been given the treatment, lest it be easier to just release the thing on Impulse's channel. There has been plenty of castle building, as Gem focused on the roofs and caps of the Elven Fortress, though Gem makes it a point to dust off and reorganize the storage system while she's at it. Better than freeze up on the parapets when you already have a cold.
Incoming Gemini Tay video titled Mega Base Exterior Complete. Very soon.
At her own fortress, False Symmetry is faced with a problem. Her base building is at the moment split between 2 main areas, the Ice Peak Castle and the Steampunk Factory Land, removed from it just enough to be its own thing. To unite her 2 homes, False decides to connect them back together with the most steampunky item one can even imagine. Nothing steamier than a steam engine.
So if you guessed it's going to be a railway bridge, you'd be correct.
Of course, you can't just throw a Snowpiercer at the mountains, so for now, False focuses on the bridge for the potential train, an oversized massive railway road spanning from one of her homes to the other. Now just to get a furnace minecart big enough.
I really like it. I think with some custom trees dotted around the outside of it, it'll look really cool.
For one reason or another, the royal quests include one to swap someone's crafting bench for a block of obsidian. Either that or Hypnotized really hasn't checked his since several months ago when that prank was first going around the server.
Who did that? Okay, so we got that back. Okay, well, yep, I'm gonna go and find all of these things. We'll be back, guys.
Regardless, some benches are now obsidian blocks, which is hilariously annoying when one is crafting chests by the dozen. Hypno's base hole system expands to welcome the loot off of his mob farm, as well as absorb the aquifer and a spawner that just happened to be in the way of the primary cylinder. We're also treated to his POV on the Total Chaos minigame and find out that the commemorative hat is in fact a renamed turtle shell. For a box of fallen dripstone, it's quite fitting that the prize be a hard hat. You'll notice that nobody bothered to hand out hard hats to Sliced Lime and King B-Dogs, who Doc M invited to the server for a tour, or at least as much of the server as they can see in 90 minutes.
Oh, I forgot my elytra.
Oh, really?
Goodbye.
Okay. Wait, go back in.
There is a certain irony in them getting a tour from the guy who hasn't been on the server since the monarchy was invented, but Doc has clearly been staying up to date on the latest happenings, and takes the opportunity to make good on his prophecy by having them play a round of Total Chaos with him and Cubfan. Whoever wins, we laugh.
There's a bad Doc got slow. Get him.
No, you can't defeat me.
Other highlights on the tour include Scar's amusement park, the devs' pure joy at hearing an elevator go bing bong, and the bits where it just becomes a podcast about how glitches are sometimes cool features. Now, since Doc has his game developer friends over, it's only fair they have some game developed right back at them. But even before Cubfan gets to drop the whole entire Total Chaos on them, there's a few more surprises along the way. Literally. The way to the Total Chaos, the very nether tunnel leading up to it, has been riddled with extra traps and pitfalls rigged to skulk sensors that would keep future contestants on their feet and give them a nice primer on exactly what the unfair box of pain does to a person. Then again, even the more innocent initiatives of Cubs will send a guy into a frenzy. For example, even the simple task of restocking his green shop turns into a self-composed, and by the most part, self-imposed musical.
Maintaining the mangrove swamp without a care. Punching all the propagules out of thin air. Cave diving for spore blossom and tiny drip leaf. That is how I filled the whole shop up with greens.
XB Crafted ended last week as the King's champion and is determined not to rest on his laurels. The competition stays interesting if he keeps up the pace, and really any excuse to swap Hypno's crafting tables for obsidian. In fact, many of these quests turn out to be ideal for XB's particular set of skills. It's pretty straightforward for a man with a warden farm to obtain a warden head, and he's happy to part with a wither head considering he gets to keep the beacon. At the end, he scoffs at the competition, except for the part of the competition that involves Azuma Void.
Shwammy Bammy Void. Oh wait, he may actually. Oh, Shwammy Bammy Void is trying to creep up on our title.
Azuma Void makes sure every opportunity for trade is monetized 3 times over. In his quest to the top of the Arch of Champions leaderboard, Azuma hasn't met an interaction with another hermit that he couldn't spin as some sort of quest being completed. Helps then that he's in charge of the trading post. Whichever materials folks want from him is probably already there in industrial amounts. So a large quantity of deep slate makes its way to Tango Tech, and a warp nether tree farm design makes its way to Azuma. It's actually 4 nether tree farms. Technically, they just feed into the same blast chamber.
Looks like he may have simplified things even further over here.
X puts together a farm of his own as well, even if it's more of an amethyst harvesting vat than a fully mechanized operation. The shards and buds come in handy immediately. Azuma builds a purple magic tree down the middle of the Alay Sanctuary River. Plus, the stuff should come really useful for the actual duplication of the little guys. Tango Tech, in the meantime, builds a larger ice cube machine, unaware that X has his own one, like, right there.
I think? Okay, progress. I have 3 modules made here. I'm working on the 4th one, and these guys have been doing their little skadoodle dance for a while here.
Tango's design is a more passive one, where the pistons pack the larger cubes for occasional harvest. Perfect for when he takes a break from building more of the decked out dungeon and needs a refreshing drink, or several stacks of blue ice because the frozen citadel is not going to freeze itself. But the player will if more of the hazard effect traps focus on dropping them into the hypothermia river by moving bridges out of the way.
Between next episode, or maybe in next episode, we gotta do a lot of caves out on this side. Hi, Creeper.
And finally, there's Pearlescent Moon, who seems to have got word that Cub demolishing an entire woodland mansion with TNT was received positively and decides to have a go herself. Really, it's a genius move that fits very well with her cleaning lady approach to shops this season, and considering each wing of the company gets its own company car, the perks are quite nice too.
I'm gonna place this block down, okay?
Okay.
And do you really want that block removed?
I mean, it kind of makes the whole area just
No!
like pop, you know?
No,
it really,
no!
It's like the missing piece. I didn't know that it belonged here, but now it does.
Pedestal shop?
This is Zuma saying the same thing. No, I'm sorry.
Boom Service, as she calls it, will demolish anything you want for a small fee, and advertising the service in person proves relatively successful, although she might need to revise the anything you want part after pitching it to Joe Hills.
Or like, let's say that like, I don't know, Cleo was on vacation for a week and like, I was like, hey, that Atlantis over there, kind of an eyesore.
Perfectly things within permission. That is
okay, I'll make sure that the papers are all in order.
But once again, the draw of the quest hub is strong, and Pearl finds herself designing some lampposts for the roads around the shopping district, which is why we find her running into Impulse and 8 Withers in service of just being able to see a little better in the dark. And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is PixelRiffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.